episode of Springs Youth Podcast. Y'all, we have a special guest with us today. We have the one and the only Pastor Justin Myers with us.
What's up, y'all? Good to be here.
So, Pastor Justin, you were here last night doing our Sorry at the Pole rally, and quite frankly, it was awesome. So, with the rally, what was something that you did going into it? Like, have you ever done a Sorry at the Pole rally before? Like, was this different from ones that you've done before?
Yeah, man, it was great. I was glad to be here last night. Thanks for the invite. I've been to plenty. I've done a lot of See You at the Polls. I've done some Saw You at the Polls. I've never done one like that. But I love the fact that the youth pastors of the community came together. We had one, like where I pastored back at home, we had one where the youth and the adults mixed together. But yesterday was really cool seeing other youth groups come around from the city of Hurley and just being a part of it. Man, I felt like it was I definitely feel like it was a success, but I was thankful to be a part of something because I'm a community guy. And Cody said it yesterday, Pastor Cody, about unity is in community. I love that. That's my heart. So I'd never seen one like y'all did it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought the kids had a great time. Pizza was a big hit. The Gaga pit was a big hit. Other things out there, it was cool. It was great. It was planned well, and you guys did a great job. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorites. Saw You at the Polls because all the other ones were good that we've done in the past, but that one it just really felt like everybody was unified. Like in the past, the youth groups were kind of like split off in their own little groups, like huddled together, but that time everybody just kind of like was together. And it just felt nice. You got anything?
One thing I did notice, and I feel like it'll change the more we do the Saw You at the Polls, from the stage, I did notice how it was like every youth group had their own little section of seats. And I feel like the more that we do the Saw You at the Polls, the more we come together as a community, I feel like the youth groups will start to intermingle. So I'm just really hopeful for the future because I saw a little bit of different churches sitting with others,
Right.
but it was still, you could still see each church kind of had their section. So, but I just know that we're gonna become more of a community, and I feel like we're all gonna get a lot closer the more we do these.
Right. And that's what matters, and that's what's something that I know that me and some of the other youth pastors in the communities have talked about before, is finally stepping up and being the capital C church. Not being all these different churches spread out through the community, but being the church. We're all on the same path. We're all striving for the same thing. We're all pushing for the same thing. So we need to be unified. We need to be together. We need to be pressing towards that goal and getting everybody that we can in the process. I was telling Pastor Justin this yesterday. I'd heard a youth pastor a couple weeks ago talk about church competition, and he kind of said it in a little bit of a way like, oh man, I don't compete with churches, which I was like, okay, like that's kind of random. He was like, nah, I don't compete with churches. I only compete with hell. And I was like, all right. And that's the truth. We all need to be not against each other. We need to be against the enemy because we know that the word says that he's out to steal, kill, and destroy. We got to push forward. We got to get these kids before the enemy does. And I think that was it was displayed very, very well last night in our service.
Yeah, I just, to add to that, it's about the kingdom.
Right.
Like, the church is not just Pentecostal or Assemblies of God, Baptist method. The church is all of us. It's the church is inside of us. We tend to navigate as a generation to what's a building. I'm going to church. No, we are the church. Everywhere we go. We went to schools yesterday. You handing out donuts and that's being like Christ. That's being like the church. The church is not a building. It's inside of us. It's the greatest force that's driven by the Holy Spirit on this earth, and we get to be a part of that. And it's about the kingdom. You know, it was His will to come and seek and save those which are lost. That's what He wanted. He died on the cross, and so just seeing all of those kids come together, and both of y'all pointed out great things. Again, there's nothing like a corporate worship setting. When you have it's like the upper room, man. Everybody had one mind, one heart, one spirit. We knew what we were doing last night. Now we had see you at the pole, but we came for Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And that was what I loved. I loved just worshiping with young people. And I'll be honest, I was really surprised at, being from having different denominations, how people worshiped and how they were at the front, and they weren't worried about what people thought. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but it was just really incredible, man, to see that.
Worship was definitely my favorite part of the whole service.
It's good.
Yeah. Hey, fun fact. I tripped up the stairs again last night.
Did you actually?
Yeah. So, fun story. This past Sunday, we were late getting out of our pre-service meeting. So I do welcome and announcements on Sunday morning. I'm running into the sanctuary, and about halfway up the steps to our platform, my foot snags the last one, and I just go sliding. But made it look cool. Played around. All the youth in the student section saw it, so I had to be cool about it, or I wouldn't have heard the end of it.
Did you like a little roll?
No. I slid on my knees and jumped up quick and turned around and went, safe! It was great.
Yeah.
But on the way up to the balcony yesterday, make sure everything was good media-wise, I snagged the last step, and I was like, nobody saw it that time, and we're good.
Just watch the step, right?
Dude, I was in a hurry.
You
I
get
need
one of those electric chairs that goes up the wall.
Dude, if I'm not careful, I'm just gonna get a life alert. Hit the button and be like, it happened again.
It only calls me in the loop.
Just guess what?
Springs Youth Life Alert. Shameless plug. So, Pastor Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you were in youth ministry 14 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a long time.
So you must have a lot of stories.
I have a lot of stories.
Okay. So let me ask you this. And it's okay. Like, hey, this is us and the viewers.
Sure.
As a youth pastor, what was one of your biggest youth pastor fails that you thought walking away, I might get fired for this?
Oh my. Well, there were several. I'll tell you this one. This is the one that I really messed up on. So, my pastor that I work for, awesome man of God, tough man, driven, tough, old school country boy. Like, he just tough one. And so my children were small. I think I just had my daughter, actually. No, I had my son too. My wife, we had a young son and a young daughter. They were babies. And I'll never forget, we had cleaned out a bunch of our clothes to take to the Salvation Army. So we cleaned out all these clothes. We got them in these big old black trash bags. I was sitting in my house, and I had to borrow the church van because my car was messed up. So I was like, hey, I'm going to put these in the church van and do it all that. Well, I sat them outside, and that night, I didn't even realize it, but it was raining. And so they got completely soaked, right? So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to take these clothes and I didn't realize it until I was picking them up, and I was like, well, do I need to wash them? But I didn't. So I just put them in the van. Well, I get this phone call, and it's really a sad story. And I'll say the lesson too in it. But I got a call. One of the kids at Faith Academy had been killed. He was jogging, and a car had hit him several years ago. I think his name was Max or something like that. But anyways, he was jogging, a car showed. So I forgot, I didn't even think about the clothes in the van. And I went, took care of ministry, did all this stuff, didn't think nothing about it, whatever. So that was on Friday. So he gets hit on Friday. I'm spending all day Saturday there with the family, hanging out. He didn't go to church with us, but I was just trying to minister. Then Sunday we had church, and then Monday was the funeral. And they did it pretty quick. And Monday was a funeral. I mean, there was like hundreds of kids there. Faith Academy is a pretty big school. And I go, whatever. Well, so I get back and Pastor Vint, like there was this thing I knew. If he was humming, he was ticked off. So what had happened was he opened the van and I'd left those clothes in there. And the worst, most god-awful stench came from those clothes. And like the van, it was terrible, all right? And so he's in there and he's cleaning, like the stuff's already clean in the kitchen of the church, but he's banging stuff around. He's finished. So I walk in, I'm like, Pastor Vint, what's wrong? He's like, did you leave something in the van? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, go smell it. So I walk out there and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the worst smell. And I was over the vans. Like, I'm supposed to take care of them, keep them clean. That was part of my responsibility. And so I felt like, well, I was doing ministry, there's an excuse, but he was really upset about it. And I'll never forget the lesson I got from it was, even though we were doing it, we have to be careful not to get out. Even though we're doing ministry for God, that doesn't give us a get out of jail free card from other responsibilities.
Right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like he was. There was probably other things that built up to that, but for me, when he sat me in the office, it was a point of if you can't take care of the things I ask you to take care of, then I really can't use you in that ministry. And so what he did was he stripped me of taking care of the vans. And let me tell you what's even worse. Like he pulled all the vans. Like my office was upstairs, and he didn't clean one van. He cleaned all three of them. And he did it right in front of my window, so that I would watch him. And he told me, he's like, if you touch those vans, I'll fire you. Like I'll fire you. And to a lot of people, you hear that story, you weren't there, you think, man, that's kind of harsh that he was harsh about that. But for me, it's just a reminder that we cannot neglect the things in life. It's me and you were having this conversation about burnout and talk and all this yesterday. Like, we can't neglect taking care of ourselves, no matter what, and not just taking care of ourselves, but being responsible. If we have responsibilities, I take it. One thing that I love to do, I mow grass on the side, but like I take pride in my own grass. Even though there's days I'm like, dude, I mowed 5 yards. I do not want to touch grass anymore today. I've been at the church. I'm stressed out. Friday's my day off, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that I have a responsibility to take care of those things. That was one of many, I could tell you, stories where I thought I was going to get fired. I mean, I don't have enough time. It'd take 3 months for me to tell you all the stories of me getting fired. But it was a great lesson for me, is that we got to take care of the little things. The scripture says, when you're faithful over little, I'll make you ruler over much. And we know that it's not really just a monetary principle, but it's in life. And it was a valuable lesson for me. And I really did think I was getting fired. And he was mad. He was upset, and he told me, he pulled me in. This is what got me. He said, can I tell you something? How would you feel if I came to your house and I dumped all my dirty work clothes on your living room floor? And I was like, well, I would feel bad. I don't want you to do that. My wife wouldn't like that either. And he was making a point. He said, what you did, those vans are a part of the house of God. It's a part of this building. And we're responsible and to be good stewards of what God has given us. People have given so that we can have vans. And it was a really great lesson for me. I needed that. Pastor Vint was tough, but I needed a pastor that would help me dot every I, cross every T, because it was the little things in my life that I needed help with. And they're important. And we cannot forget. We can't neglect, just because we're called by God, we cannot neglect the things in this life that matter. That's super important. So,
It's awesome. Now, with 14 years of youth ministry under your belt, one of the things I think the people that watch this podcast and the people that know you, student-wise, most from is youth camp.
yeah.
Youth camp, dude. I remember, because I think that first year at Springville for me was really my introduction to Justin Myers.
Sorry.
Nah, it's good.
Sorry about that,
It's
bro.
good.
My bad.
But and dude, I'm gonna tell you, like, I've never met anybody more passionate about camp and competition and love it. What is, two-part question? What is the funniest thing? But what is also the worst thing you've ever seen happen at youth camp?
The funniest thing at youth camp, man, there's a lot of time. The funniest thing for me is watching the boys and girls that like each other, clowning on them about, getting a pizza bash date. Because I was in Alabama for 12 years of that, 13 years of that, or 12 years. Yeah, pizza bash, get a pizza bash date. Like watching these dudes go crazy. Of course, I love the letters. We do those letters here. I kind of brought that thing here. And we have a lot of fun with that. The fun stuff is great. The worst thing I ever seen is like literally as a youth pastor, every year I was a youth pastor in Alabama, one of my kids got hurt. I remember I literally was like, and I was a captain, so I was trying to help a team. And we got 100 kids there on my team, and I'm trying to navigate through all this. One year, one of my boys caught his leg on a nail on the side of the bed because those beds were wooden. Dude dug in his skin like 3 inches, man. Big old roll of jelly meat just hanging out. Was gross. Then 1 year, look, we're playing softball in the back. One of my girls is on our team, and oh boy turns around, throws a missile, hits her right in the nose, broke her nose. Another kid, take him, he's not wearing shoes, he's playing football. Oh my goodness, man. Cuts his foot on a rock. Like the worst thing for me about camp was it was like I had this like curse that every year one of my kids was going to get hurt at camp. And I was like, which one is it this year, Lord? Which one? Can you show me so I can go ahead and just, and the thing about camp is, it would happen in the afternoon and you take them to the emergency room and then you get out at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And so I'm getting back at camp at 1 o'clock in the morning or, which I started bringing a lot of leaders and I would let the leaders go because I needed to be there with the, and I felt bad because I want to be with the kids, but then it's like, man, I got 99 other kids here and I'm like, we got to do it. But, the fun thing was seeing the kids, janking on the kids, messing with them. And then, but the worst thing was every year, I swear, man, every year somebody got hurt. And I was like, oh, I hate this. So
that's why people have to sign things before going to youth camp.
Especially there.
Yeah.
I tried to we don't want to get hurt in Mississippi. But I'm bringing a new game this year. Oh. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That may hurt us some, but we'll see.
Back to the pizza bash. I remember one year I asked out somebody's mom and she said yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was not the happiest about that.
Harrison, did you ever go to Alabama camp? Did you get to go that year? You didn't? You would have done great at Alabama camp.
You would have.
You loved it. It's just so hot there, man.
Oh my gosh.
There's like no air conditioning anywhere. And I love Alabama camp, and it's great, but I'm super excited.
Right.
Shout out to Matt Taylor, but super excited to have it back in Mississippi.
Oh yeah.
Last couple of years. So.
And y'all, if you've never been to youth camp, you need to go. It's great. It's awesome. It's fun. The lives that get changed that week, the stories that are made through camp, whether it be the funny stories, the impactful stories.
Yeah.
It's always good. I have been blessed to have very interesting dorm rooms the last
Oh yeah.
You gotta push up.
my first year back with this group, getting to the rooms, one of the smaller rooms at Springville. I tell all the boys in my room, I'm like, hey y'all, just the rules. When lights out, that means you're in bed. Rule number 2, don't touch the AC.
Yep.
So, and they understood that. I had a good room of boys. I was on the bottom bunk, and this became a little camp tradition, a weird one, but it happens. It's the first night, I get in bed, I went, all right, night, boys, and they all say goodnight. About that time one of our students who's on the bunk above me hangs down and just stares at me like dead eyes and goes, "Night night, daddy." And just the laughter just kept going for what felt like an hour. But every camp except for last year's camp, because he had missed camp last year, but every camp since then, there's always been a point where I'll be like, "All right, y'all, night," and you'll just hear him, "Night night, daddy."
I
So
like that.
it's weird, but it's good.
Camp's got some awesome things, man. I make sure my kids. I mean, I'm like you. It's life changing. You know, we talk about the fun and the negative, but there's nothing that can replace a bunch of kids worshiping and
Oh yeah,
called into ministry,
Right.
filled with the Holy Spirit.
right.
Dude, you just can't replace that stuff. And that's why it drives me. You know, I want my kids to have, I want y'all to have what I had as a kid. My life was changed because of church camp. I mean, I got called to ministry at youth convention. I got filled with the Holy Spirit at church camp in an outside tabernacle in Turner Falls, Oklahoma. An old campground had an outside tabernacle, fit 800 people. And on the outside up on a mountain was 3 crosses that lit up at night. And I'll never forget that place. Like, that's a defining moment in my life. And you talk about, I mean, I love hearing you as a youth pastor. When you grow up in this thing and you know I'm so grateful, thankful that I got to be a part of it. And I'm still going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I'm getting older, and I'm going to be handing the reins off someday. But while I can do it and move, I'm going to do it, you know. And so it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
It was actually my first Alabama youth camp that I went to that I got called.
Man,
And it was
it's awesome.
nothing like it. Just nothing.
That's right.
So go to youth camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It'll be you now.
Mississippi Youth Camp.
Yes.
Come to ours.
Yeah.
And the artist, please.
We need your money.
Yo, I will say, anytime we did go to Alabama youth camp, they would always they would separate the Mississippi people and they just hate on us the entire time.
I wasn't there, but I heard stories.
Hey, I will say, and this was the first and only year that I captained at Alabama, because that year, hey, the sky's open, and Pastor Matt said, "We're going to be back in Mississippi."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right," but I
You're a good
remember, and you know, you were captain with me that year. The night that they brought us up there to do the VAT 19 sodas,
Yeah.
as punishment.
Thank God.
Dude, I got blessed that night with the dill pickle soda.
That's right.
And
I remember that.
I had something to prove because I'm like, y'all, Mississippi ain't about to be looked at. So I remember just automatically just downing it, chugging it, and then I can even remember like sitting there looking over at one of the Alabama camp staffers, just like, "Is that all you got?" Like,
Was that the year we did the Christmas?
yeah, it's the year we got
skits?
booed. We got booed off the stage.
Yeah, we did.
We got booed.
We
off
won
the
that.
stage.
We won that because we did Stephen Crystal's story, but I knew them from being over there.
Yeah, well,
We
it
had-
wasn't,
we
it
had-
wasn't the skits. It was Christmas karaoke.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, we got booed.
Yeah. It's alright. I've been booed a lot in my life, and I'm still here.
It's okay. We're one of the only youth groups in Mississippi that I know of that can say we have a Camp Chump award from 2 different states.
Exactly. Exactly. That's all
48
That is
more.
true.
48 more.
That's true. 48 more. That's good.
Second, third, and fourth don't get nothing. But fifth, that's a special
You better
place.
believe.
That's like one of my favorite things, man. And then we started doing the belt last year.
Yeah.
The WWE belt. That was something I love. I
Yeah.
love doing that.
And I'm going to tell you, I think Ty Buckingham still has nightmares
Yeah.
from our group.
Oh my gosh.
You know, we
I
did the
don't-
whole "What's a raccoon sound like" at camp 2 years
Every
ago.
night
That-
before
that's
sermon,
right.
he
I
asked about
remember that.
questions.
And then it finally, I don't remember if it was you that ended up saying it or if it was Pastor Matt that addressed it, but it was like, "Hey, when we're doing the Q&A with Pastor Ty, let's make sure there's serious questions." And I'm looking over at my student that would ask it every night. He's like, "Can I do it?" I'm like, "No." But we actually bumped in to Ty Buckingham at National Fine Arts that year.
Nice.
And just a group of my kids run straight up to him and was like, "Hey, do you remember us?" He's like, "Nah." And they were like,
Raccoon.
they were like, "We were at youth camp." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And they sat there for a second. They're like, what does a raccoon sound like? And he was like, oh my God.
He knew exactly.
So, but yeah, camp's great.
Oh yeah.
Youth ministry's great.
It is.
So, best ministry ever.
I agree, man. I agree. It's incredible. I miss it, but getting to hang out with guys like y'all, just doing this really last night just made me, it's like full circle, man. Just getting to see it. Now I have a daughter and 2 sons in youth group, and I'm glad I'm not their youth pastor. But no, I'm just thankful for this generation. Excited to see what God's gonna do in the last. We're living in the last hours, man. Like and there's too much stuff going down. Bible coming true to fruition, and it's like, man, I see a generation, and I believe it's gonna be one more great outpouring before the rapture of the church, and I want to see a generation, and they already are, that worships, but that knows the word. Whenever there's revival, there's an increase preaching of the word, and that's so important that we disciple and grow in the word of God, because it's all that matters.
Right.
It's all that matters. So.
Well, I think that is all the time we have today.
Yeah.
But hey, thanks again for watching and listening. But other than that, we'll see you next week. And hey, thanks, Pastor Justin, for being here.
Man, thank y'all. Enjoyed it.